I'm John, and tonight I want answers about Liz Cheney, Arizona Recount, the California Governor Recall.
I'm John Thompson.
I'm John A. Vink.
I'm Keith Stattenfield.
I'm Loretta Beavers.
I'm AJ Minnick.
I'm Jennifer Sim.
I'm Jim Tu.
I'm Bobby Chastain. These stories tonight on John Wants Answers.
John wants answers. John wants answers. Give John answers. John wants answers. Give John answers now.
All right, it's May 13th, 2021. And my guest tonight is Keith Stattenfield. Hello, Keith.
Hi, John.
How has your May been going?
It's fine. Happy first vaccination, as I understand.
That happened to me 3 weeks ago.
Good going.
Second vaccination next week. How many vaccinations have you gotten?
Oh, we're done. I the one and done.
Oh, you got the J&J.
I got the J&J.
They banned it. The time we specifically went to faraway lands to get the J&J. And then California had to pause it when we got there.
Everyone. Like so nationwide, they paused it.
I got the modern vaccine instead.
Sure, yeah. It's better anyway.
Yeah.
It sounds French.
It sounds like it's new and modern.
Yeah, Moderna.
Well, if you say it like Moderna, it sounds French.
Or Italian, but yeah.
Yeah. All right. Let's get straight into the topics today, shall we?
Okay. Wait. Do I actually have a choice here? Like I've just been like a go along, get along guy for all these years, but
right.
Like if I could go in a different direction right now, we could have a whole different show. But we did that once and you didn't like it.
That's our first episode.
Yeah.
We didn't quite agree on what was going to happen.
Yeah.
Good times. Now we can look back and laugh.
Yeah. Well, I laughed at the time.
Yes, you did.
Yeah.
Well, if you were in control, what would we do right now?
I could ask you uncomfortable questions about your sexual proclivities.
Oh, no.
But PG rated.
I'm just going to edit that part out.
Sure.
So our first topic is Liz Cheney. Now, this is a person in the news recently.
Yeah, today and yesterday.
A member of Congress, correct?
Correct. Representative.
From which state?
Wyoming.
Now, Cheney, I remember that word from 20 years ago.
Yeah.
Is she related to a Dick Cheney?
She is.
Vice President of the United States?
Yeah.
Okay. How long has she been in Congress for?
Not long, like 3 or 4 years.
Oh, so she's pretty new.
Yeah.
So she's in the news because her party has stopped liking her.
Yes. And more specifically, they removed her from a leadership position she held.
Why are they unhappy with her?
They are unhappy with her because she does not think Donald Trump's claims that the election were stolen are correct. And she thinks Donald Trump should be tossed out of the Republican Party. They shouldn't listen to him or anything. They should not support him if he tries to run for president or any other office in the future as a Republican. She thinks his claims about there being a big lie and stolen elections are hurting the Republican Party and going to drive it to ruin.
So she sounds like a smart, level-headed lady.
Yeah, she's probably entirely correct.
Right.
I mean, she's still really conservative, so I think she's wrong on lots of things.
But isn't there a lot of other Republicans who also do not think that the election was stolen? Like even I think Mitch McConnell said, there was no corruption. Let's just move forward.
In the Senate, there are significantly more Republicans that are willing to publicly say I don't think there's any evidence that the election was stolen or that people voted in any significant numbers incorrectly or that the procedures were changed before the election to prevent Trump from legally or properly winning.
So the House Representatives, the GOP there tends to not believe that Trump lost.
Well, I mean, it was, 100 and some odd representatives voted on January 6th to not accept the Electoral College numbers.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the people in the House serve for 2 years. They tend to be even more partisan than people in the Senate are. And at present, an awful lot of House representatives are very firmly in the Trump is the leader of the Republican Party camp.
Mm. So is Liz Cheney alone in the House for her?
She's not alone in the House. There are a few other representatives that have essentially said Trump is wrong. The election was correct. Joe Biden is the president properly, but they are not in leadership positions within the House, so they draw less attention to themselves.
How did Liz Cheney become, I believe, the number 3rd highest ranking member in such a short time in the House?
Well, it doesn't hurt when your father was the vice president 15 years ago.
Yeah.
15 years before you got elected. She has been active in Republican politics for a long time. She finally chose to run for elected office, but she had served in the Republican Party at various national level posts for quite a while. And she is quite conservative, and she is an effective fundraiser and speaks well, has a good family name.
So they removed her from, I guess, committees.
Don't know if they removed her from committees.
What was she removed from then?
She was removed essentially from the number 3 position in the House. McCarthy is number 1, House Minority Leader. Cheney was essentially supposed to be kind of the figurehead for the Republican Party members in the House. She was supposed to help set the agenda. She was supposed to, be out front carrying the lanterns so that everyone knew what direction the party wanted to go. And then you have the whips, whose job is to come up and corral members into voting for potentially unpopular things.
But she's still in the House. They didn't vote to take
elected.
her out.
Correct. Yeah, they would have to impeach her to throw her out of the House.
I remember earlier this year when Marjorie Greene Taylor, or Taylor Greene, when she was elected, they voted to take her off the committees.
Well, after she was elected, she got put on a couple committees after Congress started up again. And then because of who she is and the terrible things she said, they voted to remove her from all of her committees. So she gets to vote on the floor of the House, but she doesn't serve in any committee, so she doesn't vote in any committees.
Wasn't there also a possibility that they could vote not to seat her?
They could have voted not to seat her, but they already had voted to seat her, so.
Okay.
And it is very unlikely that they would vote not to seat a member of Congress who got a very clear majority and who wasn't, convicted felon or
not yet
foreign agent. Not yet. Yeah. That's 2024.
Okay. So our next topic is the Arizona Recount. So are they counting all the ballots in Arizona again?
No.
No?
They're only counting the ballots in Maricopa County.
Is that the one that has the big city in it?
It is one of the larger, more populated districts, and it's a district that Biden won because it tends to lean Democratic compared to the rest of Arizona.
I mean, they wouldn't recount a county that Biden lost.
Well, if they thought they could find, 40,000 plus ballots that had voted for Trump but which weren't counted, they might do that. But it seems awful unlikely that that would happen. Okay,
so who is behind the recount?
Nominally, I believe it's the Senate, the state Senate in Arizona.
Okay.
Which voted to subpoena the ballots from Maricopa County, and then voted to spend at least $150,000 to hire a company to supervise an audit of the ballots.
Hadn't these ballots already been recounted once before?
More than once before.
Okay.
I mean, they were counted for election.
Right.
They had a recount a couple weeks later. They, in January, they hired an outside firm to do an audit of the election for, I think, not just Maricopa County, but some other counties as well. That firm did spot checks, and they looked at a bunch of things and said, we have no reason to believe any funny stuff went on. None of their checks found anything that differed in any significant way from the first recount.
So what new evidence is there to support this new recount?
Oh, there's tons of evidence, because there's 150,000 of them.
What do you mean?
$150,000, man. We're sure. Give me the money. We'll do a recount. I mean, I don't believe there's any new evidence. There are people that say it. I mean, at the base of it, the evidence is Arizona usually votes for Republicans, and it voted for a Democrat in this case. So it must have been a stolen election, because it is inconceivable that Arizona would be stupid enough to vote for Biden and not Trump.
I see. If you're just joining us now, I'm talking with Keith Stattenfield about the Arizona recount. Now, the election's already certified, so the result of this recount couldn't possibly change anything. Is that right?
Correct.
So this is just an exercise in what? Futility?
I mean, you could plausibly say, if we found significant fraud, that we would then look at how did this fraud happen, and we would change the laws or the policies or the procedures to keep that from happening again. None of the things I've heard them talking about as things they are even looking at seem to rise to that level. One of the people that is helping fund the recount, because it costs way more than $150,000. So a bunch of private people are tossing hundreds of $1,000s in to pay all these people to be there. One person was like, well, we can tell based on how the ballot is folded whether a real person voted it and then put it in the thing to send it in, or if it went through a machine that made it look like a person voted, but they filled out the ballot with a machine. And the way the machine would have put folds in the ballot as it moved through the machine.
I'm very good at folding paper. I can fold paper to make it look like a machine folded it. I'm that good.
There's the claim that 40,000 ballots were printed elsewhere in the world, filled out, and then dropped off in Arizona in ballot drop boxes. And that's what gave Biden the margin of victory. So they are looking at ballots with high-powered cameras to find bamboo paper fibers, because we don't use bamboo and paper here, but they use bamboo and paper in other places in the world. And so if we find bamboo in the paper, we'll know this is a fake ballot.
But where did the allegation of bamboo paper even come from? Made up?
Yeah, some person made it up. And they started talking about it on OAN and Fox News, and the QAnon people started talking about how ballots came here from China. That's the only way it could have possibly happened.
But ballots are checked against like voter rolls before they're counted, right?
If you voted in person, then you would have been checked off on a voting list in the precinct you voted in. If you voted with a mail-in ballot, they would have verified your signature on the envelope that got returned before they even opened it up to count the ballot. Ballots have control numbers on them, so they would have validated that no control number was reused, and so no ballot was cast more than once. They would have verified that the control numbers were control numbers they printed ballots for.
They would have caught 40,000 random votes.
The odds of 40,000 people, the odds of 40,000 ballots somehow sneaking through are astronomically low. Nonetheless.
How long do they keep these ballots in warehouses for?
I don't know if they keep them forever, but I think they keep them for years. It's possible they keep them until anyone who took office on that ballot has left office.
So they could keep on recounting these ballots, constantly.
Well, eventually the heat death of the universe will ensure that is not a unending problem.
Okay. All right. So next we have California governor recall. Okay.
It's the most exciting time of the election year. It's the most exciting time of the election year. It's recall time.
Recall time. So there was a lot of talk about the governor of California being recalled.
Yeah.
Was the governor recalled?
I think so. Not sure if it's totally official yet, but they have apparently turned in more than enough signatures, and there's no reason to believe they aren't valid. So I believe there is a recall that has either officially been called or will soon be called.
So how is a governor recalled in California?
You have to collect signatures of, I think, 12% of the number of people who voted in the last gubernatorial election.
That's a fair amount, I suppose.
It is, but gubernatorial elections are always lower turnout than presidential elections. And you have to collect 12% of that turnout. So yes, but no.
Why do you think Governor Newsom was recalled?
Largely he was recalled because they can embarrass him and force him to defend his office, and therefore keep him from doing other things that he otherwise would want to do during his time as governor.
Okay. So the current governor is a Democrat.
Correct.
So I imagine that the people behind the recall are Republicans.
That's correct.
And they just want to keep him busy instead of doing the Democratic thing.
They successfully recalled Gray Davis 20 years ago, almost 20 years ago.
I think it was over 20. I think when I came to California in 96, he was governor. Then they recalled him.
Yeah. I mean, it's around then.
So it sounds like if there's ever a Democratic governor elected, the Republicans can just constantly recall him for his entire term.
Yeah, I don't know if you can recall a governor more than once during a term if the first recall fails. But I mean, recall is sadly a low bar.
Right.
And, you know, in general, I think Newsom won with more than 60% of the vote last time. But that means, you know, maybe 25% of the state does not like the governor. And you only need 12% of the state to recall him.
Right.
So it is always going to be the case that the number of votes necessary to start a recall is probably well under the number of, it's probably well under the number of people that oppose the governor. Now, at present, the numbers right now are that Gavin Newsom is not going to be recalled because in the election, they have to get a majority to vote to recall the governor. And currently Newsom is polling above 60% of people who say they will vote no in the recall. So it's a colossal waste of time and money, but colossal wastes of time and money are not, they don't hurt the Republicans in the state because there are practically no Republicans in the state that hold office to be injured, to have this negatively affect their political futures.
Who's the big contender on the Republican side?
Someone Cox. I can't remember his first name.
I think it's John.
John Cox. Yeah,
that's my name.
I mean, he has gotten out early. He's already lost to Newsom before.
He's got a bear though.
He rented a bear. To stand behind him
and distract everyone.
Event. Just another reason you can say maybe not a smart guy. I mean, bears kill people when they want to. Why would you have a bear walking around behind you?
There's a bear on the California flag, but there are really that many bears in California?
I don't think there are. I think the bear on the California flag went extinct.
Oh, okay.
I think we've got bears back in California now, but
there's lots of bears where I come from in British Columbia.
Yeah.
Polar
bears?
No.
Black bears?
I think there are brown bears and black bears.
Okay.
I think brown bears are just grizzly bears.
No.
Okay. I went to Alaska and I harassed.
You don't think they have any polar bears in northern British Columbia?
No, it's not north enough.
Okay.
I think it's more like a Yukon thing.
Yeah, they do prefer the tundra, the vast white ocean.
Those are the ones that eat seals.
Yeah. But not penguins.
There's no penguins up there.
That's correct.
Yeah,
that Far Side cartoon lied to us.
What did it say?
It was the one where there was like a iceberg full of penguins. And one penguin was like, "Have you seen Bob lately?" And then you notice that one of the penguins is in fact a polar bear with a fake little penguin nose on.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. He's just.
Are there any polar bears in Antarctica? Because that's where all the penguins are.
No, there are no polar bears in Antarctica.
Who eats them there? Down, it's the sharks.
Probably.
Who eat them?
Yeah, and the ice worms.
Or the seals.
Yeah, I don't know if seals eat penguins or not. I know sharks eat seals. So I saw that nature documentary about the seal that was escaping it was swimming for its life.
Oh.
There's a shark behind it, and then at the last minute, it shot up through the water onto the land. Take that, shark.
I guess this nature documentary, the seal was the protagonist. So you're like rooting for the seal.
Yeah. Yeah.
But if it was like a shark episode, you'd be like, come on, shark, get that seal. You need to eat
seal. You need
spring.
sustenance, man.
Yeah.
I'm not going to sing the Baby Shark song, although
Please don't.
Okay. So the vaccination, I'm getting shot number 2 of my Moderna next week. And they say at 2 weeks after that, it means I'll be immune. But I'm told I can stop wearing a mask.
They don't actually know when you achieve peak immunity. What they know is 2 weeks after your second shot, you are 90% less likely to catch COVID than a unvaccinated person.
But it's never.
And
the news came out today.
All of the shots, all the ones in the U.S., Johnson & Johnson, Pfizer, and Moderna, roughly 2 to 3 weeks after your first shot, you are essentially, you have almost a 0% chance of catching COVID and requiring hospitalization. So you're 3 weeks after your first Moderna shot, your immune system is capable of keeping COVID-19 from making you sick enough that you have to go to a hospital or require significant palliative care.
Today, the CDC announced that if you've had both your shots plus your 2 weeks, you don't need to wear a mask anymore.
Correct.
Still good for everyone.
In indoor situations, they already said that for outdoors.
Okay.
You know, like 3 or 4 weeks ago, they said if you are outdoors and you are not near other people, you don't need to wear a mask.
Mm-hmm.
If you are outdoors and vaccinated, you don't need to wear a mask. You can be outdoors with unvaccinated people. They should wear a mask.
Mm-hmm.
Now they have extended that to be indoors. If you are vaccinated and indoors, you no longer need to wear a mask. If you aren't vaccinated, you still need to wear a mask.
But if you take the indoors and outdoors, that covers everything.
Well, there is underground, but yes, that covers everything.
I would say underground is indoors.
Yeah, me too.
Well, there's no door. What if it's a cave?
Indoors.
It depends how close to the entrance of the cave you are.
Yeah.
Right at the entrance, that's outdoors.
Is it a cave in Wuhan full of bats? Because that's probably dangerous. There's probably COVID-20 there.
I hope they'd burned down that cave by now or something.
No. That'd be COVID-21, wouldn't it?
COVID-21.
Like it's too late for COVID-20.
Yep.
Yeah. Man, we fought off 21 of these COVIDs already. It's amazing.
Yeah. Well, 20 of them.
Well, I think it's all the time we have today, Keith. We'll see you next month in June.
Okay. Who's going to be your guest in June, John? Because I'm going to tell you, Terry Gross always tells you who her guest tomorrow is.
But our show's not tomorrow.
Yeah, but I'm saying Terry Gross would know. Like she'd have a stack of the books for the guest a month from now, and she'd have read all of them. Have you read any of my books?
I have read all of your books.